don't wanna know what I'm doing. Don't you check up. Don't you check up. Don't you
Best
check.
Life podcast has no filter, and any topics discussed do not necessarily reflect the views of the Best Life podcast.
I'm living my best life. Don't you check up. Don't you check up. Don't you check up. 'Cause I'm living my best life.
All right, this is the Best Life podcast, and I'm your host, C-Mo, and this is my special guest, Senator Katrina Robinson.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome, and thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I'm here at the Healthcare Institute in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you're doing a lot of amazing things.
Well, thank you. This is Tennessee's only Black-owned nursing school.
Is there anything that you want to speak on that the media may have skewed about you?
We're just going to go right into it, huh? So, not really. I think, the way that things play out, people kind of know what's going on.
Okay.
Like right now, I'm still here. We're still moving and grooving. The Healthcare Institute is still here. We're doing very well. We had our largest class to start this past January. Still getting Black people jobs. Still being an impact in the community. Still injecting nice, good, exceptional healthcare workers into the healthcare community. So we're doing what we're supposed to do.
That's great. That's great to know.
Mm-hmm.
Great to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis needs more of that, y'all. Take notes. So, well, I just had to dive right into it because I'm sure there's a lot of my listeners are going to be,
Well, let me just say this. I'm an open book.
Okay.
So don't be nervous about asking me no questions. Like, I'm as chill as they come.
Great. That's good to know. All right. So your children, how many do you have?
I have 2 kids. My son is 21 and my daughter is 20.
Okay. And due to any media coverage of the allegements that say that went on, how are they affected?
I mean, they're kind of a lot like me. They've gone through with me, of course. Our life has been turned upside down, but they soldiers just like their mom. My daughter just finished our nursing program this past December. She was already a licensed esthetician. Shout out to 901skin.com. She is a spa owner. My son is actually an artist, so he's an upcoming artist. So they're doing their thing.
Wow.
I'm not fazed by it, yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
All right. What motivated you from being in the medical field to go into politics?
It's a few steps in between there. So when I went to nursing school in 2009. So I had taken care of my father who had stomach and esophageal cancer. But at the time when I was taking care of him, I was in business sales. So I used to sell gas to the government. I sold copiers. I sold FedEx services. And I was laid off from the last job that I had as a strategic accounts manager for a gas company and decided that I wanted to go to nursing school. So when I graduated nursing school, I went to Methodist University, working in the ICU. And I came across people who had some of the same challenges I did along the way. They didn't have the time, they didn't have the money, the resources, the support, but they wanted to get into the medical field. And so I wrote a CNA program, just thinking I was going to help people get involved in the medical field. And I ended up writing a grant. I didn't think I was going to get it. But I did. And I wrote a grant. The United States government granted us $1.6 million to be able to support those students as well as to fund community patient education. And so that's where the Healthcare Institute kind of took off from. But along the way, I started seeing that there were so many other issues going on besides healthcare, besides education. When my students came through the door, we had literacy issues, homelessness issues, all kinds of stuff. And so I reached out to the then sitting state senator to try to get some help and find out about more programs that could support our students. And at the time, I was still training to run for office because I was interested in the school board. But after talking to him, I decided I was going to run for his seat.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So did he step down or run for another office, or you ran up against him?
I ran against him. He was a 12-year incumbent. We unseated him in a 2-1 victory. Yep.
Wow. So do you plan to have a future in politics, running for
Well, right now I'm a convicted felon, so I cannot run for office presently, but we're still going through the appeals process as it relates to my case. Hopefully, once we get through the appeals court, we will have a favorable outcome. And who knows what I'll be doing next in politics as that's concerned. However, like now, since I can't run for office, what I'm concentrating on is helping good people get elected to office and working on initiatives for voter disenfranchisement, just making sure that people who should have the right to vote have the right to vote.
Wow. You're doing a lot. Wow, you helping the city for real.
Thank you.
What advice would you offer to someone who in the future gets elected as a senator?
Politics is a different kind of animal. So, we all have this fantastical view of things like we're just going to get in office and change the world. And people with good hearts, that's what we want to do. But the reality of it all is that there's another undercurrent in politics. So you have to stay true to yourself, first of all. And for me, I was a person who was insisting upon running a campaign where nobody owned me, where you couldn't come back and say, hey, well, I did this for you. You need to do this for me. And I think it's important for people to know that they make their own way. Once you're elected, you have the responsibility to govern the way that people expected you to govern when they voted for you. And so that means being uncompromising in the things that you do. Now, sometimes it comes at a cost, but in my eyes, it's worth it.
Wow. Well, there you have it. It's worth it. Could you tell us about the programs you offer?
Yeah, so the Healthcare Institute is a post-secondary healthcare career college, of course. Our flagship program is the practical nursing program. So we offer a practical nursing program in the day for 12 months, and the one in the evening is for 16 months. And when our students leave, they can go and sit for the NCLEX and become licensed practical nurses. We also have a certified nursing assistant program and an advanced phlebotomy program. This year, we're also going to be introducing IB certification as well as LPN to RN is in the works as well.
Okay. Wow. It's a lot. I'm thinking it's just, for RNs, but it's
No, it's LPNs right now.
LPNs.
We haven't gotten
Okay.
RNs yet. So RNs are coming, but not
Okay.
yet. We're still doing LPN.
Okay. Contact information. What's the website for the school?
So my website is thekatrina.robinson.com. That's TheKatrinaRobinson. And then for the school, it's 901nurse.com. That's 901nurse.com.
Great. Okay. Make sure I put that, flash that on the screen right there.
Yes, you should.
Yeah. All right. Do you accept financial aid?
So we're not a federal financial aid institution yet. That's one of the things that, is really painful for me because we've worked so hard to build this school since 2015. So we've been in business for 7 years. We were getting through the accreditation process. We are licensed by the Tennessee Higher Education Commission and the Tennessee Board of Nursing. But accreditation is required before you are a federal financial aid institution. And so what happened when the feds came was it kind of halted all of that progress that we had made. And so now we're starting over from scratch. We're still headed that way, but we had to start over from scratch.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry you're going through that.
It's all good.
It's going to work out.
Absolutely.
All right. And about the schedules. Are the schedules for the students flexible for working adults?
So we have 2 programs. So you can do it in the daytime, and it's 8:30 to 3.
Okay.
If you come in the evening time, our evening students are actually here now. They're 5 to 10, Monday through Friday. So we try to work with people's schedule, but again, it is a contact hour program, so it's very stringent. When the students come, they have to get their hours in.
Okay. All right. Healthcare Institute. I was reading about it, saying it's a fast track LPN program. So, what's the difference in time? Your nursing school and like a regular traditional?
So most times the LPN program is going to be around 18 months.
18 months.
Ours is just 12 during the daytime.
Okay. And how many during the night?
So it's 16 months at nighttime.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they only go part-time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It seems great. Right off of Winchester.
Mm-hmm. We're 7253 Winchester Road. Right on the Matter bus line. Bus 36 will bring you right to our front door.
Wow. Right on the bus line. Okay, and when did you what's the date that you opened the doors?
We opened the Healthcare Institute in January 2015, but I started out as a consulting company. So we used to do skills competency checklists for like home health companies. If they had someone they hired that wasn't certified, we would make sure they were competent in the skills they wanted them to perform in their patients' homes. I also did CPR training, and then we rolled out our first CNA program in June of 2015. So we've been here 7 years now.
Excuse me. Been a long day.
That's all good.
And to give me some energy. Can't show the bottle, but
No, not unless they pay you, baby.
Yeah, they gotta pay.
They got to pay you, baby.
Oh yeah. Real quick, I also have another show that I'm about to start. It's called Sit Down with Simo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be more of a laid back, more of a homely environment.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to have you back on there along with other politicians and senators.
Sure.
We'll sit down and talk about a lot of
I love to talk.
things. Well, that's great. I love guests that love to talk. So it's all good. So if you got something going on in the city, you in the politics, business owner, actors, singers, whatever, have a sit down with Simo, or check me out on the Best Life podcast. But I'm not done with you. I just like to throw little gems in there. If other things I got going on.
You gotta promote yourself, baby.
Yeah. So I have a lot of other types of guests. I do mainly music artists, actors. Just did a director. I have a mayor coming up pretty soon. Mayor of West Memphis.
Oh, Marco.
Yeah, Marco. He's coming up. So, and just a whole list of other people. But back to you. Okay, so you're from Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and you graduated from Whitehaven.
Mm-hmm. The only high school.
Oh, okay, the only high school. Okay. Okay, what year did you graduate?
1998.
98.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, okay. And you went directly that next year into college?
So yes, I graduated from Whitehaven in 1998, and everybody thought I was a genius when I was going off to medical school. So I went to Xavier University in Louisiana, and came home on Christmas break and was a little fast, got a little pregnant, had to come back home and regroup. And so ultimately, I graduated with my bachelor's degree 10 years later from University of Memphis. So my first degree is in marketing management, and then I went back for my nursing degree from Union University.
Okay, Union, that's in Jackson, right?
Actually, it's the Germantown campus. It's not far from here, actually.
I didn't know they had it. I mean, anything you want to throw out there? Any future ventures you have planned?
So right now, I'm transitioning out of government, of course. Still running the school. I do a lot of consulting with startups. So people who are starting new businesses with a specialty in healthcare schools as well as med-spas. I also do consulting for political campaigns and media appearances. So that's my thing right now. Just kind of turning it around to something different, but using the same talent.
All right. Well, sound like you're gonna continue to be, keep the ball rolling.
Amen. We can't stop.
Yeah, you can't stop. You gotta keep rolling. Yeah. So this entertainment, I started off being in all these community plays, church plays, stage play, whatever I can get in, just entertainment. And no matter how many times I quit, it always called me back. I was in 2 different rap groups. Mm-hmm. I did my own for a while, club promotion. I managed artists and models, and left it alone, and it just come knocking at my door, and I open the door every time. So
as you should.
And this is what I'm sticking with right here. As I was telling your assistant, I was like, I have my own business outside of this, but it's like if I was a billionaire right now, I would still be doing this podcast.
Well, that's how you notice what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yep. So I wouldn't be doing my other business, it pays the bills, but yeah, it's what I love to do, just being in the entertainment realm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
That's your home.
I'm gonna keep the ball. Quick story. Friend of mine I used to rap with. I'm at home relaxing, and this picture comes across the news. Wanted, danger, wanted for murder. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And the situation was so different than what they said it was. And he did 3 years in prison behind it, but he kept writing letters to the governor and the warden, and they looked into his case and released him.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the news always paint out. So since then, I never trust the news.
No one should.
And
I'm gonna tell you, in federal cases, if you don't plead, then they try to strong arm you into pleading. And so one of the things they did when I didn't plead on the first case was bring a superseding indictment on another case. So when they did that, of course, that case was set for trial. But in the meantime, between that and the trial, they moved to dismiss the case in exchange for me signing that I would be on this 12-month pretrial diversion, which actually really doesn't exist in federal court, but I signed it. And then the news, they actually sent an anchor out at like 5:00 in the morning. It was still dark outside. Whole thing was standing in front of 201 Poplar on my federal case now. Standing in front of 201 Poplar saying I had trial that day on a second case. And the case had already been dismissed. So, I mean, it's a perfect example of not listening to the media. The media has no idea what is going on. When I was going through my case, of course, in federal court, you can't bring cameras in the building. But there will be reporters come in. They'll sit in there for 30 minutes. Now, we're in there from 9:00 in the morning to 5:30 at night. They're in there for 30 minutes and go out and write a story. Or someone will come and wait for somebody else to write a story, and they'll just piggyback and say the same thing, which is already wrong. So I don't even watch.
all right, can you go through the timeline of everything that happened from the beginning?
So let me start back. Okay, so I got elected officially November 2018. My first leg of my session, the first year of my term, I passed some really good legislation, actually the most a freshman legislator had ever been able to do. And so we did really well. The end of 2019, I get a call from a student who says, Miss Katrina, some agent just left my house and was asking about the school and what did we do there and did I get certified, who taught me, all kinds of stuff, right? So I didn't think anything about it. I thought maybe it was somebody just being nosy. And so then another student called and another student called. Then finally, one of them actually gets a card. I called my attorney and had my attorney call. I called the agent as well. He never returned the phone call. That was in November of 2019. February 2020, I'm returning home from legislative session. My best friend calls me and says, Katrina, it's 20 federal agents at your door. FBI was at my house. They came to my school. They came to my spa here. They came to my Nashville residence. They raided all 4 locations, took everything. They took every file cabinet out of my business, every computer out of my business, every computer from my home, my sons, my daughters, everything. Just random items from my home that I still haven't retrieved. And at that time, I still didn't know what was going on. And so I retained another attorney who had just come off the leg of being the U.S. attorney in this area. And basically, they wanted me to plead to 48 counts, alleging that I stole $621,000 from the federal government and served 2 years in prison. In my mind, you have got to be crazy because I didn't commit a crime. So why would I plead something that I didn't do, first of all? So we went through this whole thing and my attorney wasn't prepared to go to trial. And so I got a new attorney. In the process, they did indict me. They gave me a 48 count indictment, again, alleging that I stole $621,000 in federal grant money. Right? So that is July of 2020. Still hadn't pled. When I didn't plead, I got a new attorney. My new attorney dissected the indictment. The courts dismissed 31 counts from the original indictment. So it was down to 17 counts. On the very same day that happened, they filed a superseding indictment saying that I committed money laundering with a student who was supposed to come enroll in the school. Her boyfriend paid for her to come. She never came and she got a refund on her classes. They charged me with money laundering for that. Okay? Listen. This is January 2021. So we get ready to go to trial September 13th. is the trial date. Remember, we're at a 17 count indictment, right? Still alleging the theft, but still the same amount, $621,000, 17 counts. Get to 3 weeks before trial, they file another superseding indictment, adding 3 more counts to that same indictment, alleging that I committed wire fraud based on data entry reports that an employee of my corporation submitted. Okay. So now I have a 20 count indictment when I go to trial. On top of that, I spent over $100 and something thousand on attorneys. I still got this other case I got to worry about. So they come back with the other case and say, "Hey, we'll dismiss it if you sign this pretrial diversion agreement." So that's what I did. The case was dismissed. It was dismissed in court, right? So then we go to trial. Trial started with the 20 counts. The government put on their proof for the first week and a half. Basically, they outlined every expenditure I ever made out of all of my bank accounts. They did no forensic accounting. The only accountant that they put on the stand for them was a forensic accountant on their payroll who does not have an active CPA license, who did no forensic accounting, who sat on the stand and said, "Oh, I don't know what that is, but I know she paid for it with grant funds," with no forensic accounting now. So, for example, forensic accounting says, okay, this is where this money came from. This is what it was spent on. I know that this money is from this pot. Basically dissecting money and tracing it back to the source from which it came. They never did any of that. Never did any of that. Even in the year where my business made $1 million and they alleged $245,000 in theft, there was no forensic accounting done to prove this case. So in turn, right before we get ready to put our proof on, the judge acquits me of 15 of the 20 charges. So I'm left with 5 counts, right? So I don't know if you understand, but once the judge acquits you of those charges, you can't even address them in front of the jury anymore, even though they've heard it for a week and a half. You can't say anything about that proof that the government has put on. You can't disprove anything that they've said. You can only address what's left for the jury to look at. And so here we are with an indictment that is completely blacked out except for 5 lines. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So my attorneys put on their proof. The jury goes back, they deliberate, come back guilty, 4 out of 5 charges. Mind you, one of the charges that they found me not guilty on was identical to 2 more. So there was no way they could have found me not guilty on one and guilty on the other 2. So we filed for a motion for judgment of acquittal with the judge and a motion for a new trial. The judge granted the acquittal motion and basically got rid of 2 more charges. So I'm left with 2 charges in the amount of $3,400.84. And get this, not alleging that I stole it from the federal government, but alleging that it was miscounted in accounting. And so now I'm a convicted felon. Now I'm going through the appeals process, spending more and more money on attorney fees to try to get my rights back and try to get my name back.
Well,
but the news didn't report any of that, I'm sure.
No. From the original 48 counts and down to 2. So yeah. I think you got a great chance.
I better.
Getting that taken care of.
I better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But it's a long process. You know, appeals take a while. So I just got sentenced in March of this year. And after that, that's when the appeals process starts. It usually takes a year to a year and a half. Some people take longer than that, but you know, I'll be patient for the right outcome.
Oh yeah. What now what are they saying that the charges that they have that they're alleging on you, whatever, what's the max penalty for that?
I was sentenced to time served. Okay. And 1 year probation. So basically the day that I did locked up with the marshals was my time served. And then I'm on a year probation until next year. Subsequent to that, they disciplined my nursing license. So I can't go travel state to state and nurse anymore. It actually puts me in a precarious situation all the way around because now I'm a convicted felon. And so even just to apply for, you know, funding or support from my school, I'm ineligible for that. So we're going through transition here now.
That's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. I know we all go through trials and storms and everything. Damn.
I'm still here though.
Still here.
Mhm.
It's the best thing about it because it's a lot for anybody to go through, and all the news clips and everything on YouTube. I was just thumbing through stuff, and it's just y'all don't pay attention to the media. 98% of that is crap. I'm telling you, I know. I've known people, not just the story I told earlier, but I've known people that went through stuff, and I know exactly what the news said about them, and it's completely false. So don't believe 98% of that crap. So you still here, and once you get this goes along with an earlier question. Once you get all that taken care of, you plan on being in politics?
Never say never. I don't know what I want to do yet in politics. I had a plan, but things change. So I don't know really what my next stop is in politics.
Yeah, 'cause I was gonna say there's one thing that I live by. I equate everything like to getting on a bus for some reason. I don't know, but say being a senator, you were on a bus. You're going in the right direction. It was just the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see you in the White House or something like that one year.
I don't want to go there.
You don't want to be the
There's one job I don't want.
Yeah,
No,
I'm sure it's a lot. The first black president of the United States of America is on my podcast. Y'all.
Black woman president.
Yeah. Black woman president. Yeah. But yeah, it was
But she ain't on here.
She ain't on here.
No, she's not on your podcast.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like years from now, and I pull up
she's
the podcast.
still not on your podcast. Sorry. That's not the next bus stop.
That's not the next bus stop, y'all. Okay, you heard it here. Just having a little fun with you, I'm just after a long day, just trying to unwind, and
you should have bought you a little drink or something.
That's what when I leave here, I'm gonna find me one of those stores, and I'm unfiltered on my show. God damn it,
you should be.
I'm going to the liquor store, and I'm gonna have me a drink when I get home. I'm not drinking and driving. I'm gonna wait till I get home.
That's good. You're a good role model.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my kids watch this. Hey kids. Yeah, but it's a pleasure to have you on the Best Life podcast.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the future.
Absolutely.
On the Best Life podcast, or to sit down with CMO or whatever,
You'll see me.
Oh yeah. All right, y'all. This has been the Best Life podcast, and this is my special guest,
Senator Katrina Robinson.
Yeah, and y'all.